we have to try and keep running with that, because obviously people are talking about us a little bit more now, but those are the same people that didn't want to when decision day was there or when we played against Miami. So it's really important that we focus on ourselves and trust in each other, and that's really important. And that's the bit of togetherness that you see when we go out onto the field and we're fighting for each other every match.
Welcome into Scarves and Spikes, guys. We appreciate you taking the time to check out this video. Tyler here alongside Sydney. And just a quick shout out. Make sure you like, subscribe. It helps us a ton. Go check out scarvesandspikes.com for other exclusive interviews and news, opinion, analysis, everything else going on. And go join our Patreon. Patreon.com/scarvesandspikes.
Well, got a good interview for you coming up here with Jay Fortune, midfielder for Atlanta United. Talked about his experience with the team thus far, what it's like playing Miami, what it's like for him coming through the system and ending up as a real first-team contributor with Atlanta United. So I touch on all of that. Also touch on some food takes on his favorite Trinidadian food, what it's like playing for the national team, his routine during travel.
How he owns Miami.
How he owns Miami, all of that. But it's a good conversation with Jay. I think you all will really like it. And without further ado, here it is.
Atlanta United midfielder Jay Fortune. Jay, I'm glad you're here, man. I know you've had a busy 3 weeks.
Nah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, good to have you.
It has been a busy 3 weeks, but I've been enjoying them. So
yeah, you're a little celebratory in nature, I imagine.
Yeah,
yeah, but back to business now.
Right.
Celebrations are over, and focus on to the next game.
I hear you. So I know the team has moved on. Obviously, the team is just looking forward to the next match, which is obviously understandable. But we got to talk to you about Miami. We have to talk to you about the series and everything. Just talk to us a little bit about kind of what it meant for you. I mean, you were a crucial part of this entire series against Inter Miami, and I'll just say the name, Lionel Messi, and you were out there battling against him, right? Just kind of what did that mean to you, and what was that like?
Yeah, growing up, Barca was my favorite team. Watched them every weekend, still do. But growing up, they were the team, and obviously he was the star guy and all of that. So I think as a fan first, you love the ability to play against somebody like Messi, but as a footballer, you see it as an opportunity to play against the best and to be able to compete against the best. And in the end, we were able to win, which was a really big thing, but it was a really enjoyable experience for me. And, these are kind of things that you wouldn't think were on your bucket list, but they are in a type of way. And, I was glad to kind of check that off.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I was watching you mainly in game 3. You were matched up against Messi defending and all of that there in the midfield. How difficult was it to kind of keep your nerve in the moment, knowing A, how much is riding on the match, and B, knowing that you need to just remain in the business mindset, take care of business to get out with the win? Yeah,
I think I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there's one way to stop somebody like Messi, but at the end of the day, you just want to try and do the best that you can. And for me, it was really important that I didn't try to dive in too much, try and keep him in front of me. And, I'm trying to say I back myself in defending 1v1 quite a bit against a lot of people. So I was confident in myself, confident in my ability to defend in those moments, and just knowing that you have help as well, cover as well. So I think, like I said, once the game starts, it's not really something you think about that you're going up against somebody like Messi. It's more so you're one-on-one against a guy against Inter Miami, but at the same time too, you're aware of the quality that he has and what he's able to do. So it's just finding the balance between respecting who it is, but at the same time too, backing your abilities yourself.
So I think in some ways, I just got to throw this in there. It could be argued that you now own the city of Miami, because your first professional goal, if I'm not mistaken, was against the Miami FC with the twos. Does that sound right? Or do you remember?
Was it Miami? I think it might have been Cincinnati. You could be right.
Look,
I'll take
not everything on the internet's true.
Yeah,
My memory.
I'll have to go look it up and see. But for right now, I'll take your word for it. And but I'm not trying to start any problems with people in Miami. So.
Yeah, we've already started plenty, so it's
I'll let you guys do that one. I'm just gonna try and keep playing the best I can whenever we match up against them. for you guys to have something to back it up with.
So how have Atlanta United, why have they been so effective against Inter Miami? We're looking at how many losses Miami has had or had in the 2024 season, and a couple of those have been against Atlanta. Why is it that you all have had success against this team versus other teams, it feels like?
Sometimes in this sport, you just match up well against certain teams. You see it in like the Premier League sometimes. You see it in Spain, the Spanish leagues. There's certain teams that, the big teams tend to struggle with. And I think we're just one of those teams that match up well against them. Obviously attacking, they have a lot of options, a lot of firepower. But when you attack with a lot of numbers, it can tend to leave teams open in transition. And we've been a team that has been able to succeed a little bit in transition moments. So I think that was pretty key, a key factor in that, just being able to catch them on transition against a team that likes to attack so aggressively. And, big focus is concentrating from start to finish. And that the moment that you mess up or you lose concentration against the quality that they have, they'll take advantage of it. So you don't get the same type of leeway that you might get against other teams in this league. So it's just finding ways to find the concentration levels we had against Miami to then convert it against these other teams and get the same results.
Yeah.
How has it been for you kind of in the past handful of months, but I mean, going back to last year, but you've really developed as a starter now. You've kind of become one of the main guys. What does that mean to you, especially at such a young age?
Yeah, I think, dating back to last year, starting of this year, it was a lot of more coming off the bench, maybe not even seeing the field, which is a part of development. But I think I didn't want to view it so much as me not playing, but figuring out what's the reason why I wasn't playing and trying to improve that to make it where I'm an option. And there's a lot of conversations that were being had that I'm going in the right direction. The work rate's there. When I'm on the ball, I'm doing well. I'm good in training. So I didn't want to try and look at it negatively, but try and find ways to turn it into a positive. And I had a really great support structure in my family around me. They were always telling me just show up the next day and keep working hard. And when the opportunities come, you have to take them. And there were a few times where you come off the bench and, it's 15, 20 minutes and you do okay, you do well. And then from there, they start to try and build trust in your teammates and your coaches so that they're comfortable giving you more minutes and they trust that when you're on the field, you'll do well. And then from there, continuing to build on that and then just allowing it to be even better. So this year, as we're going on, I've been able to get a couple of starting opportunities. And for me, it's just taking those and keep going in the right direction and listening to the people around me to try and build on from what I've been doing and try and get better day by day.
You mentioned the support structure you have from your family, which is the most important thing. Definitely, you have it on the training ground as well, from Tristan, certainly, from Bartek, certainly, but from Dax, certainly. He's obviously veteran in MLS. He's played in the big matches throughout his career. What are some of the messages that he's given you specifically as you've kind of grown and developed as a professional this year?
Yeah, I think if you ask Dax, he'll love to take all the credit for what's going on. But, some credit does go to Dax as well. We've had lots of conversations. We'll have video sessions as a team, and then afterwards, me and him will have conversations about certain plays that happen. He'll say, look, there's not much you could have done here, or maybe this is you in this situation. So we have a lot of conversations before games. We'll talk. He knows the league, obviously. He knows the players in the league, and I can date back to specifically Charlotte. He said those midfielders, you'll be able to get by them at any point. They won't be able to keep up with you. So, there were moments where I was able to pick up the ball, drive past a couple, and they weren't, and that led to one of the goals. And you can hear him on the mic talking to somebody saying, "I told him." So there he goes, trying to take credit for that goal as well. But little things like that, they help. But I think if you ask me, that goal came down to all previous work I've been putting in the past. But we'll argue there on a different.
Yeah.
We'll poke at Dax a little bit, right?
Right.
And when you'll win MLS Cup, you'll have all of next year to.
Yeah. I might go tell him that now.
So obviously your teammates, your peers are a big part of it, but kind of how do you feel your game has changed, or the message about your game has changed between, I mean, obviously Atlanta's had an up and down year with, coaching changes and all, never to speak so much on that, but just like the message that you had with Gonzalo Pineda versus kind of what Rob Valentino is trying to get you to do now?
Yeah, I think the relationship Rob and I have had has changed, obviously, not in the bad ways, but more so he was the assistant coach for Gonzo when he was here. So we had a lot more of those, hey, here's what you can try and work on to try and get in. These are the conversations that are being had, versus now he's the coach, so you got to watch your words a little bit more wisely. Don't want to say anything controversial or anything like that. But, he always was positive when I wasn't playing so much earlier on last year. He's saying keep going in the right direction. The conversations that he's hearing are always good. So, when it was with Gonzo, obviously we had a really talented midfield. It was a lot harder to break into that team. And, the style of play was a little bit different as well. We weren't as transition based a little bit earlier on. But at the same time, too, games call for what games call for. And hearing this with Rob, it's not we're looking to defend from start to finish, but there's going to be moments where we'll have to defend and play in transition. And I think I'm somebody that can help with that, just in terms of the work I'm willing to do defensively, but also, too, as soon as we win it, trying to go forward as quickly as possible and trying to help link the plays. So I think there has been two different messages. But at the end of the day, they were all under the same realm of, keep doing what you're doing, keep improving, make sure the work rate is high. And I think from those two coaches are something that I'll try and continue no matter who the coach is, wherever I am, no matter if it's here, but if it's somewhere else, that it's I am able to do these things as long as I'm on the field.
Yeah. It seems like over the past few weeks, the want to has been there, the motivation, not to say that you were motivated earlier in the season, but the team is just rallied behind this messaging, this FEA messaging, is just rallied behind what Rob has been telling the team in the locker room, and I'm sure on the training ground as well. How have those messages really helped this team in this last few weeks of this playoff run?
Yeah, I don't know if Rob knew what he was doing when he said it, but he created a little slogan for this playoff run. Yeah. We tend to give him a hard time about it, but I think for us it's really important, because going into this series against Miami, nobody believed that we were going to win that series. And even if you date back the game against Orlando, nobody thought we would have been in playoffs on that decision day. So that kind of just shows that we had belief in ourselves. We believed that we would have been able to do it when others didn't. And we have to try and keep running with that, because obviously people are talking about us a little bit more now, but those are the same people that, didn't want to when decision day was there, or when we played against Miami. So it's really important that we focus on ourselves and trust in each other. And that's really important. And that's the bit of togetherness that you see when we go out into the field and we're fighting for each other every match day.
So to jump back to, some of your teammates, how big, just personally to you, has Brad been after he got out of the net the other night?
Brad's he's a big piece into what we're doing now. I think the leadership he has, the experience he has, it really helps the team push on in these playoffs, in these games. He's won MLS Cup, so he knows what it takes. And little things in training, making sure that everybody's working hard, making sure we pay attention to the details, asking the right questions and stuff like that is key, because that helps all of us be on the same page when it comes to a game day. But on the field too, being able to know when it's time to slow the game down. The saves he pulls out has really kept us in games. The last line of defense is what he is, and he's been that for all three of the games. So I think having somebody like Brad in net is really important to the team, because he knows when to bring a little bit of calmness. He's very loud in the morning, which isn't always great, but you got to learn to deal with it.
Coffee.
But
Coffee.
a lot of it. But he always has the right balance in terms of when it's time to be serious, joke around, and he knows what it takes to win. So it really does help the team.
In what ways has he helped you personally grow as a professional? Like he said, he's won MLS Cup. He's played in Europe. He's played in MLS for a number of years. What messages have you drawn from him in your conversations with him?
Yeah, I think being able to know that a guy like Brad has trust in you in a game day is a really big showing into that you're moving in the right direction. There's a few times where I can date back to last season Columbus playoffs. He played me a pass that he had no business playing me, but he said, "I saw it was you, so I know you'll deal with it." And we joked about it at the time, but stuff like that really does show that he knows the game obviously, and he knows that he can trust me in moments that in games like that, which is huge for me because having the trust of your teammates is a really big thing. And also too, you're going out on a game day and he's saying, keep doing what you've been doing. And just those little conversations are really important for my confidence, just because, someone like him really trusting you, and he's always joking around with me. So I guess that means he appreciates my character as well. And, I'd rather him joke around with me than he can't be able to. So all those things, in the moment, you might not notice what it really means, but when you think about it, it really does show that there's a lot of confidence and belief that he has in me, which is really big for somebody my age to know.
And then on top of that as well, I mean, how does it feel being obviously a midfielder? Part of your job is kind of helping dictate the tempo of a match and trying to control things in whatever way that the team wants to play at the time. Being, such a young midfielder, but having the confidence of guys like Brad and then a strong back line and everything else. How does that kind of, on top of what you were saying earlier, build your confidence as a professional and just as a person in general?
Yeah, we have conversations a lot, and a lot of people tend to say, like, you can dictate the flow of the game. It's something that I've been able to do for quite a while. You date back to playing with the twos a little bit, date back to academy, even when I was younger, growing up playing like for clubs like IDF, interdevelopment football and stuff like that. I've had to do that, and as the season moved on, you start to realize different ways in which you can do it. And, you have conversations with different players, and they say, look, get on the ball, play with confidence, play freely. If you lose the ball, no problem, and stuff like that. So when those messages are being portrayed to you, that combined with knowing that I can do that, it just allows for me to do what the game calls for and help dictate the pace of the game. And playing with midfielders that love to play is another big help. Dax will get on it. Dax is always looking to find me, make sure I'm involved in the game, and Tristan, Bartek, all that stuff. So I think when you put all that together, it really does help.
Jay, we got to ask you about Trinidad. You've gotten some call-ups for the national team. Of course, they're in the midst of World Cup qualifying. This is a country that hasn't qualified for the World Cup in some time. So kind of a twofold question. What is it like to put on that Trinidad kit every time you go out there? And then number two, what would it mean to be a part of the possibly Trinidad World Cup team if they qualify? Not only qualify, but what would that be like to play on American soil?
Yeah, it's the country that both my parents are from, and growing up in their household, it was like living in Trinidad almost. I always say I grew up in a Trinidad household, so you understand the culture, you understand the food, the music, everything like that, how they are, and so for me it feels like home as well. To put on that jersey every time I step out onto the field, you understand that there's a country that you're representing. There's a ton of people all over the world that want to see you do well, and that has a great value that you're able to represent something as strong as a country. And I think to be able to be a part of a World Cup team would be great. Every player's dream, I'd assume, is to play in a World Cup. It's definitely one of mine. We have a great opportunity to do that this upcoming World Cup, and we're going to work to do that. I think, like you said, it being on American soil will also be great, but at the end of the day, no matter where it is, just being around these great teams, international teams in such a prestigious tournament would be a dream come true for me.
And then kind of just really quick on that before we jump to something else, but you scored a goal. I think it was last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
With Trinidad.
Might have been last year, I think so. Yeah.
What just kind of walk through that? I mean, did you feel a bit of a difference in terms of just wearing that national team kit as opposed to a club kit? Was there anything about it that you maybe more prideful, just a different emotion in general?
Yeah, that one was actually in Inter Miami Stadium. So that was.
You can see, I told you own Miami.
Yeah, there you go.
that one felt great. I think as soon as I saw the ball hit the back of the net, my first thought was my parents were in the stands. So it did feel a little bit different just because I had the jersey on and it was my first goal for Trinidad, and just the ability to be able to do such a thing in front of my parents and for the country that they were from and for a country that I represent is a huge thing. And just the people around me at the time were really happy, really joyful. So all those emotions when they sunk in after the game was great. But for me, I hope for many, many more to come, more wins, more goals for club and country, and we'll keep pushing to see how it goes.
So, really quick before we get you out of here, obviously you and the whole team have had a ton of time in planes, traveling, everything else, going back and forth. Just some kind of fun questions, but
yeah.
What do you do? What is your your playlist or your TV shows or games? Like, what are you doing when you're traveling as much as y'all have been lately?
So at the moment, you get on the plane. I'll walk you through. You get on the plane. You hope you don't get checked for security before going on the plane. You hope that you get sent straight on board. You enjoy that last bit of internet before you're up in the air. Put on some headphones, noise canceling. You got a lot of guys like to talk on the team. Try and block all that out. So before we take off, just text the family, let them know that taking off. And then from there, straight to Netflix, got shows downloaded. For me at the moment, it was Prison Break. That was what I was watching.
Okay.
This last trip, however, I went with The Diplomat. It's a new season just dropped.
Yeah.
So I finished that show very quickly. So probably this next trip coming up will be back to Prison Break. But it's that, some music. In terms of a playlist, it varies, depends on the mood that I'm in. Sometimes I just hit shuffle on all the music that's on my phone and see what plays. It can go from Burna Boy to Lil Baby to Mary J. Blige. You just never know. So you got different options on there, and whatever I'm in the mood for, and hopefully, some sleep comes in at some point. You just start to doze off as you're on the plane, and just like that, you're landed wherever you're playing next. So that's mainly it for me. A show, a little bit of music, try and doze off to sleep, land, and ready to go.
There you go. Pretty straightforward. And then this one real quick.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Trinidadian dish?
Oof. Favorite, couldn't tell you. There's different meals for me.
Everything.
Yeah, essentially everything. But I think just a whole Sunday dinner. My mom, she in the kitchen's amazing. My dad in the kitchen's amazing. So it doesn't matter who's cooking, but some macaroni pie, some callaloo, some oxtail.
There you go.
Red beans and rice. There's everything. Some rotis. It's doubles. Nice. I'm telling you, it doesn't really matter which one it is. It's enjoyable. So
nice.
There's tons of options. So whichever one's placed in front of me is usually gonna hate to see me coming.
There you go.
I like it. Sense. I like it. All right, we'll get you out of here, buddy. We appreciate it. I know you got to run. It's been a great time, Jay, and best of luck here in the next couple weeks.
Thank you guys very much. Thanks for the
Appreciate it.
support. It's been great.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Good luck.